Shalom Israel. First and foremost, as always, I would like to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Rakaha, Kwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing His truth and sincerity, while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return, and double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. And I just wanted to do a sit-down lesson real quick on an article here that I found from thepeoplesvoice.com, as you see up there. Scientists warn popular weight loss drugs are causing aggressive cancers in humans. Okay, as you see right there. And for years and years on end, we've been warning people about before I continue, let me say this. The whole purpose of me bringing out this type of information is to expose the Edomites, the biblical Edomites, which would be the self-proclaimed white man, and their wicked deeds. Okay, because in the last days, the Holy Scriptures spoke about how, according to 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, how that man of sin would be revealed, the son of perdition. Okay, and that's exactly what we're doing. We are revealing that man of sin. Okay, and according to Luke chapter 8, verse 17, for whatsoever is secret shall be made manifest. In so many words. So you see, the Lord has us here to show you people that these Edomites, these biblical Edomites, the self-proclaimed white man, the one who basically has rule and control over the whole face of the earth. All right, we're showing you people that these Edomites are up to no good, man. They're up to no good, and everything they have out here in society for human consumption really is not good for you. It's not good for your body, and it's really created to destroy your body. Okay, and especially you Israelites, which are you so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indian. You Negro, Latino, and Native Indians. Okay, they have these things out here really to destroy you. Okay. And for a long time, they have played on the emotions of you people. Because there's a lot of you people, some of y'all were born with obesity, diabetes, type 2 diabetes. Some of y'all were born fat, man. So ultimately, it was out of your control. Well, I mean, not really. Because a lot of you people, because, well, let me just say this, people aren't born fat, okay? There is a natural way to keep your body lean, slim, even if you're big boned, there's nothing wrong with being big boned. Some people say, well, because some people will mistake being big boned for being obesity, obese, when really that's not the case. Okay, there's nothing wrong with being big boned. There's a difference between being fat and being big boned. Okay, when you're big boned, you have a little weight on you. But you would still be considered to be lean in shape. Okay, you would still be considered to be, not fat, just big boned, and having some weight on you, but you're not obese, you're not fat. Somebody who's fat is somebody who's just, you look at them and you like, God damn, son. So, basically, they can't run, but that they can't run, and basically all they do is sit around all day and eat and watch movies and watch sports, play video games, and they will probably weigh like between 375 to 400 pounds. That's fat. But somebody who's big boned would probably weigh around 200 pounds, 250 pounds. That would be considered big boned. Like they have a little, meat on their body, but they're not fat. So, a lot of people who are fat, they'll get caught up in their emotions, and they'll see all these other people out here. Some people might be skinny, some people might be slim, some people might be in shape, some people might be in shape because they lift weights, they run the treadmill, and then they'll become depressed. And well, when you're depressed, what does that lead to? That leads to food consumption. Because when you're down, when you're sad, when you're upset, the first thing the body wants to do is, the first thing the mind wants to do is, the mind and the body wants to alleviate the stress, the depression, it wants to alleviate these negative emotions that is going through it. So the first thing it does is it wants to eat. And a lot of, especially people here in America, the first thing you do when you're depressed is, and they show you that in some of these TV shows, some of these movies. When you people here in America, when you get depressed, when you get sad, the first thing you want to do is eat. And you'll sit down, you'll be crying, you might be wearing a tight ass shirt because you're so damn big, your pants barely fit you, your stomach is hanging out, and you're just sitting there with a bucket of ice cream on your lap, eating it. You're just eating away at a whole bucket of ice cream while crying and shit, man. Or if you're not crying, you're just sitting there, you're taking a deep breath, but while you're eating French fries, a cheeseburger, you're eating 12 pork chops, which you're not supposed to eat pork chops because that's unclean food. But pretty much the point has been made, man. You people here in America, you don't know how to cope with your negative feelings. You'll be sitting there eating a whole box of pizza, wondering why you're accumulating weight rapidly. You're over here eating cheesecake. You're over here eating whole cakes. You're eating 7 bags of potato chips. You're placing orders online. Having Uber deliver you 15 pancakes. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? So, and excuse my language, but this is why the majority of you people here in America are fat. Okay? And ultimately, the so-called elites, they set it up that way because they ultimately want you people to be all big and out of shape. Meanwhile, the U.S. government, okay, you look at their soldiers, their military men, they all can run, You know, they all go through combat training. They exercise. They lift weights. They do sit-ups. They might run the treadmill while drinking water. You know, they might ride a bike along a long trail. And the majority of you people here in America, you're not fit to run from these trained military men, these different ICE agents. You know, you're not built for that. You know, you're too out of shape. The moment they kick in your door, you know, what are you gonna do when you're just weighing 400, pounds? You weigh half a ton. You ain't gonna be able to do shit. They're gonna tell you to step outside and comply. And guess what? You're gonna do it because there ain't shit you can do. I mean, what you need? You can't fight back. You know? You throw a punch and all they gotta do is make your fat ass sit down. Sir, do not throw punches at us. Sit down right here, sir. And then what? You're gonna be sitting on the ground throwing a temper tantrum, bouncing up and down, stomach jiggling. I just want to sit here on my own. Do I want Netflix, please? You know, can I at least get my chicken? I had chicken wings sitting in the bucket on the arm of my couch. No, sir. You're coming with us. You know, don't got a clue as to what's going on. They're gonna take your fat ass to a concentration camp. You know, they highly doubt you're gonna be on the yellow or the red list. You're gonna be on the blue list. You ain't gonna pose no threat to the so-called elite's New World Order. So guess what? They're gonna take your fat ass to a nearby concentration camp. Rather, if it's a Walmart, a Target, a closed warehouse, and there they're gonna re-educate you to tell you how to live in their New World Order society, and then they're gonna release your fat ass back into society after you've been chipped, and then you're gonna be in a 15-minute city where you're pretty much going to be living your life until the Lord put the spirit on these different countries to shoot their nuclear missiles on America. So you see, in the Holy Scriptures, the Lord taught us how to take care of ourselves. Okay, we're going to go to the 38th chapter. Ecclesiasticus, also known as the Book of Sirach. Okay, hold on. So, let's just do this. Let's go to Sirach chapter 38. And then do this. Okay? Sirach, also known as the Book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 38, verse 1. Honor a physician with the honor due unto him for the uses which ye may have of him, for the Lord hath created him. Okay? So a physician is a man who specializes in a healthy way of living. Okay? He's not just called a physician because he's a healthy eater. No, a physician is a person who specializes in physiques. Okay? Physiques. He specializes in staying in shape. Okay? So, a physician can be a person who exercises regularly. You know, he might specialize in nature and a natural way of healing yourself. He specializes in the type of foods that you should eat to keep your body lean, healthy. This is what a physician is. This is why physicians were honored. Because a physician can guide and can teach you how to be able to run for 15 minutes without getting tired quickly. A physician can tell you how to take care of the scalp of your hair through natural remedies, so your hair could be more flourishing when growing. So you can have blood could flow more through your scalp. A physician could teach you how to get rid of arthritis, how to get rid of osteoporosis, which is a bone deteriorating disease in your bones. You know, what type of milks to drink, what type of waters to drink. Because there's coconut milk, there's almond milk, there's coconut water, there's almond water. A physician can tell you how to extract water from particular rocks and minerals. Well, I wouldn't say rocks, but you know, from particular how to extract water from like tree barks. You know, so physicians are very important, man. For the Most High, of the Most High cometh healing, right? And first and foremost, to be healed of a disease or plague you have, you gotta pray to the Most High first. You gotta pray to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai first. Okay? It says, and he shall receive honor of the king. The skill of the physician shall lift up his head, and in the sight of great men he shall be in admiration. Okay? The Lord hath created medicines out of the earth. Okay? And physicians specialize in medicines out of the earth. Now we also have to specify on this, because an idiot will read this and he'll think, oh, so out of the earth comes Tylenol and NyQuil and Advil and Skyrizi and Pepto-Bismol. And no, man, that's not what it's talking about. Now, while those things, no, because everything comes from the earth ultimately, but we're talking about the natural remedies that come out of the earth. Because there's foods you eat that naturally burns away at fat. But you see, in this society, okay, the so-called white man, the biblical Edomites, they have created food to do the complete opposite for your body. Bear with me for one moment. Forgive me for that. I had to spit. It's about that time of the year again. But the so-called white man in these labs, when he created GMO foods, he took out all of the nutrients and the beneficial effects of the food that goes in harmony with your body. Because again, there's foods you eat that naturally burns away at fat, that naturally burns away at yeast in your body, that naturally, there's foods you eat that naturally kills bacteria in your body, that fights off and eliminates diseases, because that's what a disease is. A disease just means that your body is not at ease. There's natural foods that you eat that eliminates diseases, cancers, and viruses in the body. And that's where you get your natural remedies from. because the medicines that come out of the earth are natural remedies that work with the body, okay? Such as kale, okay? You can look up the benefits of kale, you know, broccoli. You got kale, you got broccoli, you got carrots, you got celery. Celery is really good for you. You got onions. But you'll have a big crusty nigga, big lips, stank, bald headed, talking about nigga. I don't know what you talking about. I eat my onions, I ordered a cheeseburger yesterday from McDonald's. They put plenty of onions on my shit. And you see that the only time a nigga eat onions is when it comes with a cheeseburger or a sub. And that's not healthy for you, man. Now, don't get me wrong, there ain't nothing wrong with eating cheeseburgers or subs, as long as you do it every once in a while. But nigga, you eating cheeseburgers and subs every day. And then you wonder why you're 400 pounds, bro. You wonder why you're 600 pounds. You ordering 20 pancakes from IHOPs, 12 pieces of bacon, okay? 15 hash browns, three dozen eggs. Then you putting syrup on top of sugar, because that's basically what pancakes is. Because we all know that y'all like to order them sweet pancakes, the pancakes that taste like vanilla. It's all sugar, man. This shit ain't good for you. But anyways, onions are good natural remedies, And me, I love eating salads, I love eating salads. But I heard about folates, So I've been cutting back on that. But Lord's will, I'm going to get back into eating salads, okay? Because salads are real good for you, man, And hey, one thing about my salads, I love having lots of onions in my salads, I love having lots of onions in my salads, But onions are good for you. Red onions, purple onions are really good for you. Horseradish is good for you. Okay? Horseradish. Ginger. I'm talking about ginger root. But a nigga tell you I drink ginger ale. Ginger ale? No, man. Ginger ale is not good for you. Okay? Ginger ale is not good for you. Stay away from ginger ale. Okay? So it says, the Lord hath created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them. So your natural greens, man, that come with the chlorophyll in it, carrots that come with the biotin, celery, all these things are good for you, man. Collard greens, I'm not talking about the ones that come in the cans, the ones that you normally see in the fruit and vegetable section at your grocery store. Collard greens. These are all natural remedies that work in harmony with the body, man. I already mentioned kale. Spinach is another good one that's good for you. They show you that in that cartoon Popeye the Sailor Man. He would eat spinach, and he would gain massive strength. And it's interesting because when I was a child, I used to watch Popeye the Sailor Man. The cartoon that used to come on the TV, I used to sit down, I used to watch that cartoon, and, I was so inspired by how he would just pop open a can of spinach and eat it, and he would become so strong, man. That cartoon inspired me so much to eat spinach that when I was a child, that I'd have watched that cartoon so many times that I would go up into my mom's cabinet. I would get me a can of spinach, I will open up the can and I will literally eat a whole can of spinach. You know, my mom used to buy the spinach that you would freeze in the freezer. I used to take those out of the freezer and eat it. You know? Now, spinach in a can is not good for you because plants are supposed to breathe. Plants were not created to be compacted into cans where there's little or no oxygen. You know, you're putting spinach in plastic. You ain't supposed to do that, man. Spinach is supposed to constantly receive oxygen, even after you pluck them off the bushes or from the ground or whatnot. Spinach requires oxygen, man. You know, spinach requires oxygen. You know, even if and science shows you that when you put food into a vacuum bag, you know, pretty much it kills off the food, man. You know, you should always have air. If you're gonna put your food in a bag, at least make sure there's air in the bag, you know, because air preserves life, man. No, air is made up of water molecules in the form of gas, and we know water acts as a cleansing agent, which is why the body is required to breathe. Because every time you breathe, what are you doing? You're cleansing your body. So there's natural remedies that come out of the earth that works in harmony with the body, man. Okay, was not the water made sweet with wood? Okay, where does wood come from? Trees. Okay, you know, you remember when back in the ancient world when it would rain, we would collect the rainwater that would fall from the leaves and the tree branches. Yeah. Okay. That virtue thereof might be known. Okay. And he hath given men skill that he might be honored in his marvelous works. So you see, there's a natural way to eat to keep your body lean and slim, man. Okay? 'Cause nobody on this planet should be fat. Because again, there's natural foods that kill fat. But you see, you people, you've been here in America so long that you think it's okay to it's okay to eat fast food every day, and you're going to all these all-you-can-eat restaurants, and they ain't got nothing but death in there, man. Because that's basically what these fake GMO foods are, man. It's nothing but death. Okay? It's nothing but death in there, man. Because none of those foods are good for you, man. You over here eating deep fried foods, and then on top of that, these different restaurants, they're frying your foods in oils that do nothing but destroy the body, man. Okay, vegetable oil, canola oil. See? They're not frying your foods in oils that actually is less harmful to the body, man. So you're over here eating all these fried chickens that have been fried in canola oil, and then you wonder why you're obese. You see? So there's a natural way to lose weight, man. Now, while it might be rigorous, it might be tedious, okay? The Lord did not create our bodies to constantly just be sitting around all the fucking time, man. And that's why a lot of you rich people, a lot of your bodies are not in good shape. Because you don't have to work, you're sitting around all day partying. You're sitting on your ass watching sports all day. You're playing video games all day, whether if it's on computer, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch. You know, you're watching sports and TV shows and movies all day. And really, the only time you get up and move is when you got to go to the bathroom, or you might be walking to your car to drive to your friend's house. You know? And this is why you people are ripe for the taking when the so-called elites begin to move with their new world order. With that, I'm going to say shalom. It's on to the next one.